Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to do my top 10 old movies of 2023, the best ones. So, this is kind of a rare instance where there are so many good movies that I could probably really have maybe like 5 different lists of top 10 best movies of the year. So that's pretty good, honestly. There were a lot of good movies that I saw, but what I'm going to try to do is just go through them really, really quickly, which is a really, really hard thing for me to do because I'm very detail oriented and I like to thoroughly go through something that I like or dislike. So, first off, Blood Feast. This was a very funny, good, bad movie. I can't wait to do a review of it in the future. Next up we have, I'm going to pick one from each row. Or maybe 2 or 3, I don't know. Okay, we're going too slow. Okay, Rhinoceros. Okay, this was not a bad movie like Safi painted it out to be. I thought that it was pretty good. It was like right there in the middle. Okay, next up we have another row. We have The No-Mobile. Now this movie was a pretty good kids movie. And then we have Haunt. Haunt was a pretty good movie. I thought it was a good horror movie. It was kind of original. It was kind of good. And then we have California with David Duchovny and Brad Pitt. I thought this was a really good movie until some of the stupid shit at the end. But it was overall a really good movie. And then next up we have... Let's see, which one should I do? Okay, The Crush. The Crush was actually a really, really, really good movie from the 80s. 90s, but it was very 80s. And then next up we have Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween. This was a very good movie. It was actually a really good sequel to that piece of shit Goosebumps movie that was a real piece of shit. I fucking hated it, but I fucking love this movie. It was very, very good. I love this movie. I wish I could put it in my top 10 best movies of the year because I'm going to watch it again next Halloween and then next Halloween. Okay, next up we have Backlash Oblivion 2. Okay, that one doesn't even belong on the best movies. Okay, next one is I Shot Andy Warhol. This movie was a really, really, really good movie. It was kind of like a female taxi driver. It was so much better than the American Horror Story Cult, where you had the Valerie Solanas. That character sucks. She was a feminazi bitch. Okay, next up we have In Broad Daylight. In Broad Daylight was a very good Brian Dennehy movie, and it was a very, very good movie. Next up we have Arcade. Arcade was a very good full moon movie. It was one of the best movies I watched all year. It was a great horror movie. I loved it so much. Okay, next up we have Crime Wave. Crime Wave was a really, really good movie. It's very underrated, very good Sam Raimi movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a really good... it was kind of like a Spider-Man movie, kind of like that Spider-Man movie. And then next up we have Edmund. Edmund was a very good underrated movie until it got to the end and it got really stupid and dumb and kind of nihilistic and shitty, and it started to become really full of itself and pretentious. And then next up we have I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Know What You Did Last Summer was a surprising classic movie, classic horror movie, classic... Sarah Michelle Gellar was really good. The main girl was really good. Anne Hesh was really good. This movie was really, really good. I could watch this movie again right now. Okay, next movie is Judgment at Nuremberg. Judgment at Nuremberg was a very good movie. It was a very good sort of Nazi war movie, whatever, trial movie. Next up was American Pie Book of Blood. This movie was surprisingly good. It's one of the best American Pie movies I've ever seen. It was really, really funny. It had a lot of good moments in it. And then next up we have... I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, actually... I just surprisingly was able to get through all that in a very, very short amount of time. And I bet that people are like freaked out and they're like falling out of their chairs. So next up, I have 4 movies that I believe deserve more time than I think. What did I give each one for the past couple of minutes? Like 1 minute or 1 second apiece. Okay, so 12 Plus 1. This was Sharon's last movie. I thought this is one of the best movies that I've ever seen. It was so entertaining. It was such a fun and funny movie. It's all about these people who are trying to get this chair because this guy, he inherits these chairs and also a painting, and the painting has a note in it that says that and one of the chairs is like a gold or something, and he will basically become the richest man in the world if he finds this one chair. And so the whole movie he's trying to track down all these chairs because he accidentally sold them. He sold the chairs and to all these different people they get sold to because he took them to this antique store And it's a really, really good movie. It's so funny. Like, every time you hear when he cuts open a chair and it goes boing, it's like, it's really funny, the anticipation of that sound. And then Sharon was really good in the movie. It is very eerie, though, of her being her last movie for a lot of reasons that I talked about more thoroughly in the review. But the one big problem that I had with this movie was the ending. Because the ending does... the ending actually, it basically ruins the whole movie because it undoes everything that happens. Like, he's with this beautiful woman, Sharon, and at the end of the movie, she's like, oh no, I'm going to stay in Italy and I'm going to be with this rich douchebag guy for no reason at all. And then the last chair, he almost gets to it, but he loses it and it ends up going to this orphanage. And then the kids at the orphanage find the treasure. And, he's like, we're not going to go steal that from children. But, like, it was so disappointing that, like, I thought, like, it was kind of predictable that he wouldn't get the treasure. But I thought, he's at least going to get the girl, right? No, he doesn't even get the girl. But then there's this weird thing at the very end where he makes all this money off of hair growing lotion or something. And that was really strange. Very, very bizarre ending. But overall, like, I love this movie. It totally saved Thanksgiving from being a Napoleonic disaster. Because I watched Napoleon earlier that day, and it was like a nightmare. And, yeah, it felt like Father's Day or something. Because, Napoleon was like a Father's Day type of movie. And, the last thing that you want to watch on, like, a holiday is, like, a Father's Day type of movie that's just, like, really dry and dull. And 12+1, I loved it. I might actually watch it every Thanksgiving. Because, actually, the movie kind of has a message that, like, you should be grateful for what you have. Since the whole movie is them trying to get this treasure, and they don't end up getting it. And it's like they really should have been... they should have just hooked up. Because, I mean, honestly, if I had to choose between finding treasure and then being with Sharon, I would choose Sharon, like, all day long. And so next up is Cool Hand Luke. This movie was a classic. It was really, really good. Definitely one of the best movies I've ever seen. It was very well edited, too. There was one scene where, like... apparently, it was like the scene where these prisoners, they're watching this girl wash a car, and she's doing it in a purposefully, like, seductive way. And apparently, they weren't even in the same area together. And I couldn't tell that at all, because it was so well done, and it was so well edited and well acted. It has a really good story. The main character is a really interesting character, because you just can't, like, crack him, and you can't figure him out. And then the villains are really, really good. Like, the main one, of course, I think what we have here is a failure to communicate. Like, that is just classic. And it was so effective, and it was so, like, perfect. And you had that part at the end with the guy with the glasses where his glasses get broken, and I thought that, like, that was badass. Like, at the end of the movie, even though the main character dies, spoiler alert, the fact that they destroy that guy's glasses, and they basically, like, destroy their power, and they defeat them, basically, even though the main guy dies, because he's always going to be a legend among the people at this horrible southern prison camp. Number 12 is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. This is a movie where I really, really should have watched it when I was younger, because I just saw that opening scene, and I hated that opening scene, where they're ripping off Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and I just did not want to watch the rest of the movie. And it was, of course, the joke was on me, because the rest of the movie was really, really good. And it's probably the best Friday the 13th movie I've ever seen. It really felt like it was made by someone who loves the series. and who knows what should happen in a Friday the 13th movie. There was plenty of sex and kills and Jason Voorhees being badass, and just, it was perfect. The only thing that I would say is the ending where Jason gets defeated by, like, being weighed down in the river, and then, that was kind of dumb, but he was such an unstoppable force, though, in this movie that, like, I would imagine, like, if writing that, it would have been really hard to come up with a way to defeat Jason. Like in my movie that I pitched on this channel, Jason doesn't even get defeated at all. He actually, he gets injured quite badly, but then he kind of walks it off, and then he teleports somewhere else for the next movie. So, because Jason, he's one of those characters where, you can't really ever kill him, because if you kill him, it kind of defeats the purpose of the character. It's like if you have all these, like, these myths and legends, like the Jersey Devil and, Sasquatch and stuff, and it's like, you don't really ever want to kill those characters or kill those myths and legends, because then you're killing the legend. You're stopping that from being like something that people talk about throughout the years for the rest of time. In this movie, it was perfect. It was like, how in the hell did they get like a movie so right in the series, and then before that and after that just revert back to trash? Actually, part 7 was really good too, but it still wasn't as good as part 6, though. It felt like they were just kind of thinking, like, in part 7, like, how do we defeat this guy? Oh, we get Carrie. We bring Carrie in, and Carrie defeats Jason. Like, oh, okay, that's a way that we can finally defeat this unstoppable character. Lastly, Breakfast at Tiffany's was really, really close to being in my top 10 best movies of the year. I'm kind of sad that it's not, because it is a really, really good movie. Like, I was kind of, like, taken back by how much I love the movie, because for years and years I just heard all about how it was a chick flick, and I heard all this stuff about, like, it's a comedy, and, I'm a guy, and I just couldn't get into it, and I heard that all the time, and then I watched it, and I was like, what the hell were they talking about? Like, this movie is phenomenal. It's got fantastic acting, it's got really good dialogue, it's really interesting and dramatic, it's all about, like, it's basically an anti-feminist movie, where you have this character, and she's, she thinks that she's like this independent, like, woman character, and then over the course of the movie it kind of destroys her and shows that she's, like, really weak and pathetic, and she's just like, she deals with drugs, and she's a prostitute, and it's like, yeah, she's really independent, all right, because she's doing all this shit and this illegal shit, and she's a criminal and a thief, and she's the worst. And this main character, he's got some problems too, but he tames her. He turns her into a good woman at the end of the movie, and he gets with her, and I thought that was a great movie. I wish that they would show that movie in theaters nowadays, because people would have a fit. Well, actually, the opposite sort of effect that the movie should have had happened, where, like, for some reason, I have no idea why, it just shows how badly our society has gotten, but for some reason, women look up to Holly Golightly as a feminist icon. I mean, that's pretty bad. And okay, I want to go back to another feminist icon. The I Shot Andy Warhol movie, the performance that woman gave in that movie, I really think it was Oscar worthy. I think that she should have won for that movie, because I was so impressed. I was like, why the hell don't people ever talk about this movie? And like that was another crazy person who, where it's like, why are people calling Valerie Solanas a feminist icon? It's just really bad. And same thing for Holly Golightly. But still, I love the movie. I would definitely watch it again. I'm glad that we finally watched it, you know. I can't wait to see more Audrey Hepburn movies because it seems like she makes really good movies. And, yeah. Number 10. Number 10 is Dolls. This was a fan request. And it was a classic. I would call it a classic horror movie. I would say it's one of the best horror movies ever. It was so creepy. It was fun. It was funny at some points. It was very original for the time. And yeah, I love this movie. I couldn't get enough of it. I thought, like, this is definitely a movie where I could see myself watching this on Halloween every year because it's so classic and so good. And yeah, what else can I say? Well, the one thing I would say, I wish it had a sequel. That's for sure. I wish it had like 1 or 2 sequels or something, because it was really, really good. Number 9 is Eyes Without a Face. This is a movie where I think it is a movie that should be studied by everyone making a horror movie because it's very, very effective. It's very creepy and uncomfortable. The villain is really, really evil. It's really, really gross too. It's a amazing movie. I loved it. I loved every single minute of it. I thought this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Not just one of the best horror movies. That's how good it was. And I also, where is she? Christiane. And I don't say this often because I don't want to seem like a weirdo, like, you know, all the weirdos online. But I ship Christiane from this movie and one of the characters from the movie that I am making. That is for sure. Because I definitely, they were very similar to each other somehow. Well, you know, I had not seen the movie when I wrote my movie, but I thought, you know, just great minds think alike. Because, I mean, just the mask, too, just the look of this character is iconic. You know, the whole mask that she wears, and how, like, there's a part in the movie where she has a new face, and the face just deteriorates, and it's really, really gross and sad, and just, ugh. But yeah. Number 8 is Nuts. This is a movie that a YouTuber who I used to watch all the time, you know, he stopped making entertainment videos. He only makes football videos now, so I don't watch his channel anymore. But he used to make entertainment videos, really, really good entertainment ones. And he recommended this movie, and it took me until 2023 to finally watch it. And it is one of the best movies ever made. It is very, very good. Barbara Streisand, somehow she is not the worst person in the universe in this movie. Like, you know, because I really do despise Barbara Streisand. She's one of the worst to me. Like, I can't stand her. She's very annoying. But I do really love Richard Dreyfuss. And both of them did a really good job in this movie. And this movie was also based on a play. And I couldn't even tell. Well, I kind of could tell, but you know what I mean. It was a very high-quality movie, and you couldn't tell that, like, oh, it was based on a play, so that means it's bad. You know, it wasn't anything like that. It was very, very good. It had some great dialogue. It had a great story, and I'd highly recommend it. Number 7 is Echoes in the Darkness. This is a TV movie. And honestly, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. This movie shows, like, TV movies, they used to be top tier. They used to be so good. I think this movie, it deserved awards. It deserved all the awards. It was so uncomfortable to watch. You had this story about this evil teacher guy who is really full of himself. And it's a true story. Did I say that already? And he teams up with the principal at the school to kill this teacher and take out this life insurance policy that she has. And it is just an epic story to me. It's so unsettling because, unfortunately, she takes her kids with her. And so her kids and her both end up dying. And the kids have never even been found. And we still don't even know what really happened. But it is very, very intriguing. Probably one of the most interesting true crime cases I've ever seen or heard about. And the acting was really good all the way around. You had a great ensemble cast. And yeah, I would highly recommend this movie. I could actually watch it again if I had the time, because it is a TV movie. You know, it's like 4 or 5 hours, so you know you got to be ready for it. That's what she said. Wait, no, or I don't know. Number 6 is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Now, this is a movie where I really did not like it at first because Safi ruined it for me. You know, she spoiled that the dad would die, which of course I just spoiled. But I really disliked that, and it very much took away from the enjoyment of the movie initially. But this is really like one of the first coming-of-age movies. It has all the cliches in it that you think of when you think coming-of-age movies. But it has an excuse because it is one of the first coming-of-age movies, so, you know, it just naturally has all that stuff. You know, this is one, it was like more original at this time. And I really loved the movie. I thought that it was a very interesting coming-of-age movie. The little girl, though, she does look like a demon. I still say that. And yeah, it gets very emotional, too. It's a very emotional movie near the end. And I would definitely watch it again. I would definitely buy it and keep it forever. It's just that initially, you know, Safi really ruined it. She really did. Like, if she hadn't ruined this movie, it probably would have been like number 4 or maybe number 3. Number 5 is Support Your Local Sheriff. This movie is kind of a mixed bag because it's not a great movie in terms of like it's more of like a comfort movie because it's very, very funny. And it's very heartwarming and very, like, comforting when you watch it. It's like getting a hug, a nice warm hug. You know, it's a warm hug of a movie. But it's very, very funny. It's all about this guy, and he comes to this western town. And, of course, it's James Garner. James Garner is one of the best actors of all time. And he comes to this town, and he becomes the sheriff. And he basically has to control this town and make sure that, like, people stop breaking the law. Because it's like a lawless town. Because every sheriff just keeps getting killed. And it's a really good movie. I'd highly recommend it. Very, very funny. Number 4 is The Great Escape. Now, need I say more? Sorry, I'm not going to say anything more. Because if I need to, then you need to get your head examined, because, you know, it's just one of those movies where it's like, yeah, that was really, really good. Move on. Number 3 is The Shop Around the Corner. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Jimmy Stewart was obviously very good. Another person who I really liked, though, was obviously the main actress, which is Margaret Sullivan. I really, really liked her a lot. You know, she did a great job at playing this character. One of the things that I really liked about this movie was their chemistry, and how she was a character who, you know, you wanted him to get with her because you fell in love with her too. And you're thinking, like, if you're in this situation, you would want to get with her too. And it's a very, very good and original story. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really, really funny. And another thing that I read too was that in real life, she was like the person who made Jimmy Stewart the actor that he became. Like the famous actor, because she helped temper down all of his mannerisms, and she coached him. And I thought, like, you know, she's like really one of the best actors in terms of like making an impact, if she was able to like coach Jimmy Stewart into becoming like the Jimmy Stewart that we all know and love. And so I would say, like, she's like an underrated Hollywood character. And this movie is just, it's really good. I mean, the story is all about, if you guys don't know, you have these two people and they're working at this store, and they both have a pen pal, a romantic pen pal, and they don't realize that, that they're each other's pen pal. And so it's really, really good. I can't stop saying that it's really, really good. Number 2 is The Wrecking Crew. This was Sharon's second to last movie. And honestly, look, let's just say this. This movie was a piece of crap. Okay? It was a movie where, you know, Dean Martin, he's supposed to be the lead. He's like a washed up character in this movie. He's terrible at acting. He's acting like he doesn't even want to be there, and he's just so like bored. Even though he has these beautiful women, he gets to kiss them and be around them all the time and just be a cool badass spy who defeats all these bad guys and shit. But it's like somehow he looks disinterested, and it's kind of like a vanity movie for him too, because you have a lot of the times where he's singing, and it's like, why did we really need to have his singing in this movie? It wasn't necessary. So I will admit all of that. But Sharon is Freya Carlson. Freya's character is probably the greatest movie character I've ever seen. She is the best movie character. I'm not going to say probably. I'm going to say she is the greatest movie character I've ever seen. She goes from being like a really funny, klutzy girl who she can't do anything right. She goes from that to being like this really, really powerful character she's very loyal. Even though she's a screw-up, she's always by this main character's side. And she's really hilarious, too. She's definitely one of the funniest movie characters in history. And it's all because of Sharon. And, you know, Sharon, she carried this movie so hard that you could see it in her face, that she was carrying this entire movie. If she wasn't in this movie, it would have gotten like a 2 out of 5 at best on a good day. But the fact that she's in this movie and the performance that she gives, she makes this movie. She's the best thing ever in history, and there'll never be anyone like her ever. And, you know, just this movie, if you want to see one movie with her, then I would suggest watching this, because you'll get everything that you ever need. So that is, and I would also say that, like, I could watch this movie again and again and again because of her. So my number one is the Americanization of Emily. This is one of those movies where it actually has a script that is written really, really well. You know, there are so many movies that I review on this channel, and what do I say? Bad script doesn't work, there's all these plot holes, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. But this movie is one of those movies where you have a script, and that script is perfection. This is a perfect script. This is one of those movies that you think, this better have won the damn original screenplay or adapted screenplay, whatever. I can't remember if it had a book that it was based on or not. It was a really, really masterful movie. You had a perfect cast. Yeah, James Garner. He's like the ultimate alpha male, badass, leading man character. Yeah. And then you also have, what was her name? Mary Poppins? You have Mary Poppins. And she is really, really good too. And the whole movie is, again, where she is like kind of a character that he has to tame, and he has to make her evolve. And it's a very good movie about this conspiracy. And by the end of the movie, you think one thing is going to happen, and then another thing happens, and it's very shocking. And then at the very end of the movie, it kind of ends on this like dark ending. And it's perfect. It's a perfect movie. Definitely in my top 10 movies ever made. As well as The Wrecking Crew and The Shop Around the Corner. That's how much I liked the movies that I watched this year. You know, all the people constantly say like that I'm too negative and I'm too critical. And then I make videos like this, and, you know, it's just complete radio silence. It's almost like people just want to talk about what's convenient for them to talk about for their own, like, personal agenda. Because, like, honestly, I watched a lot of good movies last year. Even movies, like, even ones that I didn't talk about. Like, let's go back. Let's see. Fallen Angel, that was a really good movie. Grey Gardens, that was a really good movie. To Sir With Love was okay. Shrieker was a really funny, good, bad movie. The Killing Time, that was a okay movie that could have been a lot better. Alice, that was a movie that could have been really, really good. But it turned to be really bad, but it still had some good stuff in it. Miracle on 34th Street, 1970s version, that was really good. I think that's about it. Well, Trancers 2 was pretty good. Oblivion 2 was pretty good. Wonder Whammon was pretty good. District 9 was pretty good. That's another movie where I will still say that the first half of that movie is trash. You know, it's like this documentary thing. And then when it becomes a real movie, that's when it gets good. And I was like, see, if it was a real movie the whole way through, I would have liked it as a kid too. You know, I wouldn't have turned it off and said that it was a piece of shit. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what your favorite movies were, and then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to continue seeing videos like this. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.